Agents are closing less deals. From your experience, what would you say, what would you suggest right now to them that they have to do in order for them to have the consistency, the results?
Well, the first thing they have to do is stop thinking so short term.
We got someone who's been in business for 22 years, over 1,000 homes sold personally, probably one of the most influential real estate individual that we have in the world, Mr. Ricky Carruth.
When you start to realize what needs to be in place to create a healthy long-term business, you magically start closing way more deals today. That mental capacity you used to spend worrying about what's going to happen, you can now invest in a more productive areas in your life.
Nothing is selling really. The listings are not selling right now. I was like, dude.
But yet agents are like, nothing's selling. Really? What? Where are you obtaining this data?
Do you mind sharing a little bit more about your coaching? How much you charge for your coaching?
The best way was free for me.
Free?
Yeah, free because, well, yeah, I mean, like a lot of my happiness comes from the fact that I know I've impacted hundreds of thousands of agents around the world. I almost OD'd from drugs. That was my rock bottom, I guess. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like you have taught me, you are teaching me right now the lessons that you're teaching other people in their 50s. Everything's possible. Mm-hmm. And really more than what you think is possible is possible.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Alan K Show. Today we have a very special guest in our studio. We got someone who's been in business for 22 years, over 1,000 homes sold personally. Is a huge investor, probably owns about 50 or so, $60 million in real estate. He's one of the first coaches, I think, that have been coaching for free since 2016. And he's got 270,000 followers on Instagram, 109,000 subs on YouTube, probably one of the most influential real estate individual that we have in the world. He is from Gulf Shores, Alabama, right on the border with Florida, and he's visiting us today in Arizona, Mr. Ricky Carruth.
How you doing, bro?
What's up, man?
Good
Thanks
to
for
see
coming
you, man.
in.
No. It's my pleasure, bro. And for everybody watching, I'm excited to get into this with you. Whatever direction we go, we're going to help a lot of people.
All right, let's get it started, man. So you accomplished a lot. You have seen a lot for the past 22 years. Mm-hmm. Right. In the last few years, we hit some rough patches. It's been tough. The transactions are down. I think back in 2021, there were like 6.1 million transactions that have closed. This year, I think we're barely going to do 3.8, 3.9 million. Agents are closing less deals. Brokerages are closing less deals. Interest rates are high. Inventory's tight in some of the markets, although it's been opening up in the last 6 months or so. So, from your experience, if you're talking to a struggling agent, even a producing agent, right? What would you say? What would you suggest right now to them that they have to do in order for them to have the consistency, the results in 2025 and beyond?
Well, the first thing they have to do is stop thinking so short term. You're worried about what your business is doing today is kind of it's a waste of time, honestly, because everything that you're accomplishing now comes from what you did a couple years ago, or even 5 or 10 years ago, right? Or even beyond, depending on how long you've been doing this.
Yeah.
And so you got to think whatever happens in 2026, 7, 8 is going to be from the work you put in this year. You're really not going to get paid on most of the money you make this year. This was funny. Most of the money you make this year, you won't see it for another 5 years, but you actually made it this year.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is, a lot of agents, they quantify and classify results as, whatever's in their tax returns this year but what about all this unrealized gains of your business that's in the pipeline now, the seeds that you planted. So whatever the market's doing temporarily, you're down in transactions or whatever, it really shouldn't even be, looked at. Yeah. To be honest with you, you should be thinking about, I'm going to, what does my career look like, right? What's the health of my career over the long term? Because when you start to realize what needs to be in place to create a healthy long-term business, you magically start closing way more deals today. That's what's so crazy about this, is that we're so focused on closing deals today, when in fact, if we would stop focusing on closing deals today, we might actually close more deals today, right? When you focus on the big picture, and it's so easy to do this because when you build your business on these principles, and you focus on the bigger picture and how to expand your influence in the market, I mean, you can predict what your business will do. Right. It becomes very predictable, and you start to have less pressure on yourself in terms of stress of if we're going to succeed or what's going to happen. Doesn't matter. You know what's going to happen. See, when you can predict what's going to happen, you're not worried about what's going to happen. And so that mental capacity you used to spend worrying about what's going to happen, you can now invest in the more productive areas in your life. And so, I think about things once I realized this formula of building your long-term business for short-term success, it was a wrap, because you're not worried about anything anymore. You don't care if the market crashes. You understand that markets crashing actually give you almost a starting point of expansion. Because a lot of agents get in the business and they're in a regular type market, and they're just kind of busy getting, that closing the deals mentality. When the market slows down a little bit, it actually gives them an opportunity to expand that they didn't have before because they were too busy just closing deals and were prospecting and doing stuff. But when the market slows down, they actually have time to do the real work, which is creating more relationships in the market, expanding your footprint in the market, expanding your influence in the market. Because at the end of the day, you want a passive business, one that just spits out deals, one where people just call you, they're chasing you. You got past clients, referrals, and referrals of referrals. And when you get that locomotive going and you build that momentum, it's a wrap. So as far as the market that we're in now, or any market that we're like currently in, we're speaking in this market. We're in 2021 talking about it. I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, take advantage of what you got. And understand this is going to come to an end. I mean, like in 2021, I was telling agents, this is going to end. Right. Like, don't get too excited. Like, it's going to end. Be more like, look at this from a long-term perspective always. And what happened? It ended, and now I'm telling people, like, this is going to end, right? We're not going to stay under 4 million existing home sales forever. It's going to get back to 5 million within a couple years. It's going to happen, right? So don't.
So, but how? I mean, everything that you're saying, like, it's spot on, right? But there are people out there that, for some reason, mentally cannot just overcome that analysis by paralysis, if you will, like the self-doubt, limiting beliefs, making like. And in all fairness, there are some agents, or a lot of agents out there. They're not closing deals on a consistent basis. Like they close one deal here, 3 months passes by, they close another deal, paycheck to paycheck, if you will. How do you explain someone that hasn't been really consistent closing transactions, not making money, to like, you got to be thinking long term versus like stuffing your pockets right now with commissions?
I don't have to tell them. The problem is not me telling them. They already know this. Like, everybody watching this knows they know what I'm saying. The concept's super simple. I could teach somebody how to sell property, how to build $1 million business in 5 minutes. That's not the problem. The problem is they subconsciously sabotage themselves. The self-doubt they have, nobody's buying anything, so what's the purpose? The market's coming down, so my business is going to suffer. Nobody's selling because they all have under 4% rates. All these things are literally lies that they tell themselves, that they believe. And all that is they're lying to themselves to make an excuse not to have to succeed. Why are they making an excuse not to succeed? Because success is change, and change is super scary. So you subconsciously sabotage your success because you don't want to risk going out here and trying to succeed and then not succeed. And then what's everybody going to think? Or, we're going to lose everything that we worked so hard to build. We worked hard to get where we are. If we try to do something different, we're going to lose the momentum we built. And so we sabotage ourselves. So I don't have to tell them. All I have to tell them is stop allowing your brain to sabotage your success. That's all I have to say is, like, once you realize that you're doing it to yourself, I mean, it's like agents will say, Nobody's selling anything in my market. Really? Okay. I'll Google, Surprise Arizona market stats. Okay. There's an article. Okay. We got, 300 new listings this week and, 150 closed deals.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just said nothing's closing, but yet there's hundreds of deals happening, listings and sales this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're in a down market. Right. And I'm just throwing those numbers out there. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like.
So you're right. I had a conversation a couple of days ago with our agents, right? They're like, nothing is selling really. The listings are not selling right now. I was like, dude, I pull up the MLS. Year to date, there were 67,000 transactions.
67,000
transactions in MLS.
Right.
Last year was 68,000. 2 years ago, it was like 100,000 or something like that. The point being is the fact that there are 67,000 transactions
in this year.
This year that have
crazy.
closed.
It's crazy. But yet agents are like, nothing's selling. Really? Where are you obtaining this data? Because what's weird is how they say it.
Yeah.
They say it like it's an absolute fact.
Yeah.
They're like nothing's selling. They're looking at you right in their eyes and pretending like this is real, like this is real life or something. No, you're not living in the real world. Like, pay attention to stats, right? Watch the market, actually do your job as a professional and keep up with what's happening in the market. You should know how many listings are coming up, how many deals are closing, what prices per square foot are, etc.
Yeah.
You should know this stuff. You should be watching it every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, people, and all that is right. They tell you, oh, listings are sitting on the market and everything because they're scared to go get listings, right? They're scared to get listings, to have a listing that sits there, worried about the seller being mad that it's sitting there. So they say nothing's selling. So I don't want to get listings. Like, no. Right now in Miami, I don't know about Phoenix. Right now in Miami, we're at 10 months worth of inventory, right? It's literally the outlier of the entire industry right now.
Yeah.
And Florida's bad. Like a lot of markets.
Is it a lot of condos that are on the market there in Miami? They're older condos that are just not selling.
No, it's mixed.
It's mixed.
It's mixed, right? Because even the houses, the insurances went up really high. Prices have went up really high. We had a lot of migration there from post-COVID. It just went up so much in the past couple of years, and there was so much stuff, and it's a mix. But the point is that it's the average days on the market, the median days on the market are 70 days. 70 median, right? 10 months of inventory, dude. A balanced market is 5 to 6 months. We got 10, right? And back in 2008, it was like basically 2 years worth of inventory, right? It was a lot of inventory, but you're getting close to a year worth of inventory. That's, and I'm telling you right now, if I were in Miami and I'm a listing agent, I am the happiest person on earth. Why? Because the slower the market is, the larger the list of inventory I can build.
Yep.
I would literally be focused on trying to get to 100 listings in that market, and I could do it based on the market stats, right? The quicker the market is, you can't keep listings. If you can't keep listings, you don't have inventory.
But what would you say to the agent that says, you know what, man, 100 listings, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of expenses. That's a lot of,
what
money
are you
for
paying
the pictures and signs and lock boxes. And then obviously,
look how many I'm selling though.
Yeah.
If I sell half of them,
50%.
If I sell 50% of them, right? In a normal market, you're going to sell about 70% of your listings.
Yeah.
Okay. If I go out and let's say it's like we're in Miami and it's really bad, right? And let's just say that it's not 70, let's say it's 50, right? Let's say it's 40. Say it's 40%. I go out and get 100 listings and I sell 40 of them.
Yeah.
Dude, how much money is that in Miami? What's my average price down there? What am I averaging, like 800 grand or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's 30. I'm doing quick math. That's $35 million. That's close to $1 million in commissions. Okay.
Yeah. And plus, you can probably charge premium because the market is so tough.
The worse the market is, the worse the market is, the higher. This is facts.
Right.
Commissions fluctuate with the market through sellers markets and buyers markets. So yes, you're right.
And then you can leverage those listings, holding open houses, getting sign calls, and get some business on top of that.
And it's even easier because a lot of agents are taking a step back because they don't want to be the agent that has a listing with tons of days on the market and sellers mad at them. So they're stepping back out. So there's even less competition than there was before.
Why would an agent, for example, be so concerned about the number of days on the market?
Because
it's a big deal. Like when I got into a real estate business, like my bread and butter for the first 3 years was expires and cancels. And the average days in the market of expires and cancels is much longer, for example, than for example, just a regular transitional listing per se, right? So for me, I never really cared about that. For me, it's like, I just want to get as many listings as possible, have those listings in my inventory, and then leverage those listings. Why do you think most of the agents are concerned about the average days in the market when it comes to their listings?
Well, that's the way that you should be. Just stack inventory, right? That way everybody comes to you. To whatever if you've got it, they have to come through you to get it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to be in that position, right? But most agents don't think like that. They care too much about what somebody else thinks, and so they're worried that the seller is going to get mad at them if it doesn't sell quickly. But the thing is what those agents don't realize, and one thing I want to get through to people that are watching this, if you're in this boat where you're worried about that, is that it's not your job to sell the listings, right? It's not your job to sell the listings. It's your job to help the seller do exactly what it is they're trying to do. And guess what? Not every seller cares if their property sells. See, what happens is agents treat a seller that's desperate to sell, that needs to sell, the exact same way that they treat a seller who doesn't care if their property sells. They would sell if, whatever the case may be. No. Like, you gotta know who you're working with, understand what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it, so that you can help them do it.
Yeah.
And it's not always to sell the property. It's like, I would sell if this, right? And so agents, they walk into every situation the same, when in fact the motivations of their clients are different. So I think most agents fail to go deep with why somebody's trying to do what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Somebody says, I want to buy or sell something. I'm like, great. Well, why in the world would you do that? Because that's an amazing property. Right. And then they tell me a reason. Whatever that reason is sparks my curiosity in terms that I turn that into 3 more questions. It turns into 3 more questions, turns into 3 more questions. Before you know it, I've made them think about things about why they're doing what they're trying to do that they haven't even thought about. And now I know more than they do about their situation. And most agents don't do this. It's like, you want to sell? Okay, great. Well, this is how we're going to do it. This is what they don't even know why the person is trying to sell this property.
Yeah. What's the motivation?
You got to know that before you can actually help someone do something, and you have to know and to service them, right? What's the game plan? How are we going to do this? So they're just kind of, these agents just kind of treat everybody the same, and they feel like the problem is they haven't been in enough of these situations to realize that it's not their job. Like, if agents could magically sell listings, there would be no inventory. 0 active listings, because we would make it sell. You can't
they
make it sell.
probably would not even get like a 1 cent of commission, because it will be so quickly to sell. That's another thing.
I mean, yeah, but like, if agents were the ones making it sell, you're going to get paid for that. But nevertheless, like, you can't manipulate days on the market. Okay. Like, if it's median 70 days on the market in Miami, you can't change that. That's what it is. Yeah. And so the objective is, in a market like this, especially where you do have longer days on the market, and, it is more than likely incredibly price sensitive, where you got to be priced pretty aggressively depending on where you are in the country, et cetera. You've got to be able to paint that picture for them. You want to price it at this? Okay, no problem. Here are 2 other homes exactly like yours, priced where you want to price it, that have been sitting there for 230 days. Yep. Do you want to be on the market? I'm just asking you a question. Do you want to be on the market for 230 days? If you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. You can do whatever you want to do. But I need to make sure I paint this picture for you, Mr. Seller, so you know what you're getting into. Yeah. Where we have a really good idea. Anything can happen. We could price it and it could sell in a day, right? But we need to know what the chances are of what the actual outcome is going to be in reality.
Yeah. Setting expectations.
Yes.
Right.
I call it painting the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to paint right now because there's so much data of these listings that are sitting on the market, listings that have sold for cheaper prices, listings that, have expired, etc. It's so easy to paint that picture for a seller.
So everything you're saying is just, man, freaking common sense. Like,
it's very common sense.
So why so many agents fail in our business?
They can't let go of who they are long enough to become the person who can actually do the thing, who can do the thing that would accomplish the things they want to accomplish. See, who they are got them to a certain point, and they think that they continue being that person, they'll get higher, but that's not true. I've never seen it happen. Whoever you were to get you where you are and you plateaued, now you're stuck. You're going to stay stuck until you let go of who you are long enough to become the next version of yourself who can actually do the things to get to the next level. And then you become that next best version of yourself and you hit another plateau.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got to do the same thing. And these really high level people, they understood this at some point, and then they got really good at reinventing themselves when they hit plateaus. Most people hit a plateau and they just stay there for a long time, sometimes the rest of their life. But the people, and then some people stay there for a long time and they realize what the problem is, and so then they level up, and then it takes them a couple times and they realize, oh, this is a leveling up who I am game. Yeah. And so then the people who are like high level.
Yeah.
Like when they hit a plateau, they already know, they know what it is. They when they hit it, they're like, okay, time for a change. And they let go of who they are. People can't let go of who they are, right? It's like making calls. They're scared to make calls. Well, that next best version of themselves who can do the thing that's going to get them where they want to go will call anybody, anytime, anywhere. But they won't let go of who they are, this person that's scared to make calls, long enough to be the person who can do the thing to get them to the next level. That's just a very surface level, basic example of what I'm talking about.
So would you say that it has to do with like a will initially, and then to get to the next level, it's more of a skill type of a thing?
They lie to themselves. They tell themselves nobody's buying. They tell themselves exactly what we talked about from the beginning.
That's the mindset.
It is. They tell themselves these lies that they believe, and then which allows them to stay comfortable, to stay who they are. Their brain is subconsciously holding them back because change is success is change. Change is scary.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so your brain protects you from that by lying to you. And you believe the lies, you use the lies to justify why you're not doing what you need to do. And so you make it okay because of this pretend fact. And that's so it's a vicious cycle. I want to succeed.
So how do you get them out of that cycle though? Is it the environment? Is it them being surrounded by people, like-minded individuals or individuals that have done what they're trying to do, something along those lines, like a team, for example, or a brokerage or a coach? How do you get out of that vicious cycle?
They got to want it. They got to want it because they can. I mean, like we've had agents that are around great environments of superstar agents and everything else, and they still don't do anything. So like, I'm not going to sit here and say that's the answer for everybody, right? I think the ultimate answer is that they make a decision that they are done with this mediocre life and I'm ready to actually do something, and I don't care what it takes. That's how you have to be. You've got to have a chip on your shoulder. You have to have your back against the wall. There's got to be something that's driving you that's bigger than what you're doing now. There's got to be something that's just like driving you. And if you don't have that,
I remember myself when I got licensed. The first 6 months were tough. My dad was diagnosed with cancer, colon cancer. I started having health issues myself. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, autoimmune disease. I remember the days when I just couldn't really function or operate. I remember the days when I used to go to the listing appointments And instead of thinking about getting a listing, I was thinking about how do I ask the seller to use their bathroom. I don't know if you're familiar with ulcerative colitis, but it's like you go to the bathroom like 10 or 15 times a day. Number two, not number one, number two. Right. And my goal that year, like I had to make like $60,000 in order to cover our expenses. Like I had at that time 3 kids under age of 5. My daycare bill was $2,100. My mortgage was $2,000. 2 car payments was $1,000. So for me, I burned all the bridges and I didn't want to fail. And for me, the biggest why, like I would show up to the office at 7 a.m. From 7 to 7:30, I would be like role playing. And then from 7:30, I'm prospecting for dollars. And there were days when I didn't feel like doing it. There were days when physically it was tough, but I did it because again, my reasoning was like my kids, my wife, I didn't want to let them down and I just didn't want to screw up.
Yeah.
Like, that was my thing. So you got to get to that stage where you like able to kind of push through and overcome these obstacles and not wave the white flag and just kind of like retreat.
Well, I ask agents sometimes, I'm like, do you have kids? Sometimes they don't. Like, you got a family, you got a dog. Who's in your life that is rooting for you, right? That wants to see you succeed so bad, right? And let's say you do have kids, right? And you're scared to make calls. You don't make calls. You fiddle around on social, and you know, who knows what all you do, right? And then like I say, calls, right? I don't want people watching to think I'm talking about cold calling, right? I don't care where you get your leads from. You got to call them. You got to You got to talk to them, or nothing's going to happen. So I'm not trying to advocate for any type of lead gen source, except for the fact that whatever it is, you got to talk to them. And if you're not doing that at a high frequency, right? How are you going to go home to your family and look them in the eye, knowing that you didn't do everything you could do to provide the best life you could for them and feel good about yourself? How do you sleep at night, right? And so then when you start talking about those type of things, then we get into some mental health issues, because then people, like, they don't make the calls and they go home. They feel like they're a failure, to their kids, to their spouse, to everybody that wants to see them succeed. And so then they start hitting this downward spiral, and then they start becoming depressed, and they start feeling like they're not good enough. And it all stemmed from the fact that they were just scared to make calls in the beginning. And that first time, you just didn't just bust right. It's stages. Right? There's stages to this. The first stage of calls is you're scared. Right? The second
you're a rejection and confrontation.
Well, rejection and confrontation is not what people think. Right. Rejection and confrontation is your client telling you what they want to do. Right? Like, give me an example of like rejection or confrontation.
Well, if you call them, for example, for the first time, they're yelling at you, they're screaming at you, they're cussing at you, or
you know what they're saying? That when they're yelling and screaming, right? See, they don't know how to communicate. Right. They haven't been an agent. They don't take communication classes. They don't work on script role play. So they don't know how to express their feelings. What they're saying when they're screaming and stuff, like, I can't believe you're the 15th realtor that called me. You guys just lose my number, click. What they're actually, that's what you heard. But what they actually said was, hey, Ricky, you sound like a really nice young man. You probably got your stuff together, and you're professional, all this stuff. Listen, I'm not interested in anything right now. And I really just don't have time to talk to you. So maybe we can talk later whenever I am interested in something possibly. But for right now, I got to go. I'm kind of busy. Click. That's what they're actually saying. Right? But they don't know how to say that. They don't know how to communicate that, because they're getting into their fight or flight mode. They're getting into their, weird.
You're absolutely. And it's not just that. It's maybe they had a freaking bad day.
Well, and like,
maybe there's something else going on in their life right now.
But like let's back up for a little bit. Like, let's say somebody says, like, I'm going to list with another agent. That's not a rejection. That's not an objection. That's not a confrontation. That's them telling you what they want to do. Now we're going to take it from there and ask some questions, but we're not going to. I'm never going to try. We're talking about this before. I'm not going to try to get someone to do something that they don't want to do. That's not my style. That's not how I roll. I'm not going to tell somebody how to take a no and turn it into a yes. I'm going to teach somebody how to take a no and turn it into a lifelong client forever, and turn it into like 15 deals over the next 12 years. right? That's what I'm more interested in, because I'm more focused on, like I said, the long term, helping people build their career. Somebody's a no, somebody's a no.
Yeah.
Right. But tell me what you are thinking, right? Like, you going to live there forever? Do you like investment properties? What can I help you with? We talked about what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Now let's switch it over to you telling me what you do want to do.
Yeah.
And even if it's to buy or sell something in 15 years, like, I'm your guy. But
so let's say, for example, you're a brand new agent right now, right? No sphere, no past clients, they drop you in the middle of Arkansas, whatever that is. How do you get business?
Whatever creates conversations.
In front of people, getting in front of people.
Yeah, in front of, it doesn't matter if it's in front of, if it's, DMs, if it's email, if it's text messaging, if it's on the phone. I don't care what it is.
Yep.
Just get me into communication with people in the market and let me work the general public, right? And let me dig in, because I'm going to find out who wants to do what, and I'm going to help them do it.
Yeah.
And if they already have that taken care of, if they're good, if they've got an agent, if they're in good hands, great. But I'm going to find people that are looking to do things that need my services, right? Need, not want, not, I'm going to talk them into using no. I'm looking for people that need my services, and they're out there at an unlimited rate. That's the thing. Like, dude, there are tens of thousands and even millions, depending on your market, of people that would love to do business with you.
They just don't know you exist.
They just haven't talked to you yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're not, most agents aren't willing to put the work in to find these people. Like, when I say tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, that's more than you'll ever get to in your entire career. So you got to realize how unlimited this business is, and how it's almost like you got time to lean, you got time to clean. There should never be a dull moment. Like you got a whole abyss of people to call in your market who need your services, who want to work with you, right? It's your job to go find them.
So when do you incorporate the social media aspect of it?
You don't have to, but it doesn't have to be incorporated.
But I have these conversations with my agents. They're like, "Oh, Alan, I just want to be on social media. I just want to be posting on IG or this and that."
That's fine.
That's a long game, though, right?
It doesn't have to be a long game. Here's I'll break it down for you.
Yeah.
The number one KPI of any lead gen activity, whether it be social media, Instagram, YouTube, whether it be Zillow, door knocking, open houses, cold calling, expires for sell by owners, circle prospecting, whatever it is. Okay. The number one KPI is conversations. That's it. So I don't care what you do. If you post on Instagram and that's your thing, great. Right? But it better be creating real life conversations at an extremely high frequency.
What would you say high frequency? How many conversations a day?
As many as you can have.
10, 20, 15, 30?
That's all relative to the agent, how much time they have, what stage of their business they're in, if they're part-time, it's all relative to the agent, But you can think about it like this. If you have an incredible retention nurturing model, right? Well, I like the weekly email. That's my thing. A weekly email on the same day of the week forever with my thoughts on stuff, bringing them real value, local market information to my clients, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just been butter. So if I have a great nurturing process on the back end, and I have 5 great conversations a day with property owners in my market, I talked to 10 and 5 of them were great, right? And they gave me their information. Let's stay in touch. Maybe one of them wanted to possibly do something soon, right? I did that every day, 5 days a week. That's 25 in a week. 100 in a month, 1,200 in a year, 2,400 in 2 years, 36, 48, 6,000.
Yeah.
In 5 years, I got 6,000 people that are getting a weekly email that loved me, that gave me their information. I've done so much business during the 5 years with all these people. And now I literally have a machine that just spits out prospects.
And what are you sending out in those emails?
Like I said, my opinions on stuff, new restaurants, market stats, but not like cold, hard, here's the numbers. It's like, here's the stats and here's what I think about it.
Yeah.
And a nice 1 or 2 sentence format.
That's it.
Not a paragraph or like a novel or like really small print. Like, people will never open up your email ever again. And it can't be how to cook shrimp etouffee or what color to paint your walls in the fall or 10 buyer tips to help you win multiple offers or how to handle interest. Like, it can't be the generic stuff. They will tune out of you so quick because that's everywhere. They want stuff from you they can't get from anywhere else. For example, if even new agents, right? Let's say you got a new agent, they're 2 months in, they showed property to 2 buyers in the last couple of weeks, right? This week they could say, hey, hope you're having a great week. Here's all the new listings in, are we in Surprise?
No, we're in Glendale.
Here's all the new listings in Glendale this week, right? By the way, I showed 2 buyers in the last couple of weeks. One made an offer. We didn't get it worked out, and we're still looking for a property for the other one, right? If you need something, I'm out here working. Let me know.
Yeah.
See, you giving them inside information on that's giving them like a pulse of the market. You're showing them 2 houses. You told them a little bit about what's going on. You did it in one sentence. Yep. They literally got a piece of you. They got a piece of your personality. They got a piece of your business.
Yeah.
And they can't find it on Zillow. They can't find it from another agent sending it to them because that's what happened to you. Mm-hmm. So even the newer agents have so much to offer when it comes to content. This is content. Email is social media.
Yeah.
People go on their email and they do this, right? And then they click on what they like, right? They go on Instagram, they do this, and they click on what they like. It's the exact same. It's just a different format, just like all the platforms are different formats, right? So you have to understand the basic fundamental principles, right? That lead gen, the purpose of lead gen is conversation. The purpose of the conversation is to get your prospect to open up to you about what they want to do, right? And then the progression just gets deeper and deeper with who we're talking to, what the frequency is, what the conversion is, and how your whole funnel actually works. But yeah, like they can do whatever they want to do. You just better understand that whatever it is had better be creating conversations at a very high frequency. Otherwise, you're literally falling behind, right? And that's why I reverted to cold calling, because I could literally get the data for a penny of the exact person I want to do business with and just call them right now. Yeah. I don't have to put in time, money, and energy into videos and Zillows and direct mail and do all this stuff. I don't have to do all this and wait on a random lead at a very high price at an undetermined frequency. Like, I don't know how many I'm going to get, how much they're going to be, or who they're going to be. Yeah. Over here, I get the data now for the exact people I want. Yeah. So like, I'm built different. Yeah. Right. So not everybody can do that, but you got to understand whatever you are doing, it better be creating conversations at a very high frequency and hopefully with the right people.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's shift gears to content creation, right? So you started like consistently posting content in what year?
Well, I started my accounts at the end of 2016-ish, beginning of 17.
So almost 9 years.
Getting close.
Yeah,
getting close.
And initially, what were you doing? You were just posting on Instagram, Facebook?
I had a Facebook profile, just like a profile. I didn't have a business account. And then I started an Instagram account in 2017. And then I was kind of like, I did it because I was getting into building a personal brand around the coaching space. Yeah. I didn't do it to build a real estate business at all. I hadn't even touched social media from a real estate business at all. And then as I got into it, I was still knee deep as a real estate agent. And so I was posting some stuff that was just me being an agent. I was posting some of my listings and stuff. And I was posting some coaching stuff. Yeah. And I kind of did it. I kind of stair-stepped it. I kind of like got a little bit of momentum with Instagram first and Facebook, kind of Facebook and Instagram kind of at the same time. And then once I kind of got those at a good place, because I started a Facebook group and then a Facebook page. And, I kind of like was watching other content, just trying to get the hang of like what it was all about. And then I started like an iTunes podcast and then the YouTube channel. I can't remember what all platforms were going at that time or what all I was into or whatever. But Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube have kind of been the main things for me. And yeah, I started posting every day. I was posting every day on every platform for years.
I think you got over 5,000 posts on Instagram. I think, right?
Yeah, because I was posting like 5+ times a day for like a long time.
How did you like keep so consistent though? Like, like a lot a lot of folks that will do it here and there, like for a day or two, maybe for a week or two, and it just kind of goes up and down and everything like that. Like, how are you getting so much creativity? Like 4 or 5 posts a day? That's a lot of posts.
Well, it was just clips from podcasts and stuff and coaching calls and stuff like that. And then I would send it to editors, and they would just chop it up into a bunch of different, pieces of content, and I would just post it.
Yourself?
Yeah, I would post it myself. Yeah, I was posting it myself. Yeah, so I still post everything myself, and I
post everything yourself.
Yeah, and I answer all my DMs myself, and I don't have a team. I don't have any employees at all. I'm a one-man band. So as an agent, I was a single agent, and I was crushing whole teams. Mm-hmm. I was the number one agent in my entire county for 8 years in a row, and that was like number one out of even the teams. The teams are one person on MLS, they're one entity on MLS, right? And the single agents are also one entity on MLS. Like I was at the top, and everybody else is under me. I was annihilating entire 20 agent teams, right? In person.
Is it by design, or is it just you had bad experience with people like working for you and everything like that? You just didn't want to deal with this anymore?
I'm just not built to deal with the stress of just having employees and stuff. I'm just not a people manager. I like to just see results. I like to just have results. And like, I've never been scared to put the work in. So I could, like if you look at where I am now in the coaching space, like the money I make, it's all profit.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys that have coaching businesses, they have these massive teams, and they have to make like 6 or 7 times what I make just to profit what I make. Right. So think about that, think about the stress that they have to go into dealing with all that. Well, for me, it sounds bad. They may love that whole thing. Right. But everybody's built differently. Right. Everybody has to try to like figure out how they're going to do things. It's not black and white. It's not like you got to do a team or you got to be a single agent. There's hybrids. It's not just like, if you don't have a team, then you can't make commissions passively.
Yeah.
Or there's all these myths and misunderstandings about business because there are a lot of, with social media, just gurus, fake gurus, right? And people that haven't really accomplished things to a high enough level to actually speak on it out there speaking on it. And it kind of brainwashes people into thinking a certain way. And then their brain wants to lie to them. And then they start believing things. And then one thing leads to another. And it's like, no, there's a million different ways you can do stuff, right? Like I can have a multi, 8-figure business as a solopreneur, especially in today's world, right? Mm-hmm. With the way technology is and everything. So, yeah, dude, it's.
So do you mind sharing a little bit more about your coaching and what do you offer? What do you do? Like how much you charge for your coaching?
So I've done a lot of different models, and what works the best for agents. Agents are really, they are their own
worst enemy.
Well, no, it's like, it's a really small niche for like a coach compared to other niches, right? Like fitness. Right. Or real estate investors or investors in general. Like those are massive niches. And real estate agent, it's a very small, extremely small niche.
So like 1.4, 1.5 million. That's
something like that. And like, because like you think about like investors, there's what, like 100 million in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, really small. And then you think about, okay, the 1.5 to 2 mil agents, how many are actually on social media consistently? On what platforms are they on?
Yeah.
Right. So it makes it even smaller, right? And then, okay, how can I get in front of those 800,000 that are actually out there? And you think about the 2 million that are agents. Well, there's only about 300,000 to 400,000 who actually sell. So really, you're talking about your niche is really 300 to 400 who are actually productive at all.
Yeah.
Then you have this other, say 300 to 400 who are on social, who are agents, who are licensed, who aren't productive, who want to be productive. So that could be part of your niche. That is part of your niche.
Yeah.
But anyway, nevertheless, I did it every which way possible. I did it free, through affiliates, through the brokerage, high ticket, low ticket. And the best way was free for me.
Free?
Yeah, free, because that was when I had the most fun, honestly, right? That was when like the floodgates
were. A second. Wait a minute. Free. Like there are no any like upcharges or upsells, cross-sells.
Right.
Like
Back
it's
then,
free.
yeah, free. So I was selling software on the back of it. So I was making money.
Oh, got it.
Right. But the actual coaching, like the information, the education, the how-tos, the scripts, the blueprints, all of that was free. Right. I mean, I had a whole course. You didn't have to pay. You just went and put your email in and boom, you had access to the whole thing. And people were crushing it. And I was just always and so when I went to test other models, I feel like I lost some momentum in my brand. But some coaches would argue that was probably a good thing to get rid of some of the free people. But I'm just telling you, that's when I had the most fun and I felt the most momentum in my brand and everything. Right. So I'm going back to that model. So I'm fixing to relaunch actually next week, my Zero to Diamond platform, and it'll be $97 a month. But that won't necessarily be for the education. I'll do coaching calls and stuff for those members, but they're more paying for the software to do the weekly email, right? That's really what they're paying for.
For email marketing software?
Email marketing, yeah. And texting and everything else. And I'll have a course there, which is really good. It's 7 videos that are 5 to 10 minutes long. I made it really short and really powerful.
Yeah.
And really kind of like zeroed in on one strategy that's worked well universally for agents.
Yeah.
But like going on YouTube and like telling everybody everything, like that's me. Like that was when I had the most fun, when I was just like, here it all is, go crush it, guys. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to that.
So it's like $97 a month there, but they're paying for the software. And then of course they're paying for your time like once a week, once every 2 weeks, or
it's a once a month Q&A.
Once a month Q&A.
Yeah.
That's $97.
All right. And you're part of it. You're a member. I do quarterly events in Gulf Shores, listing, selling secrets. So you get a discount to come to that. There'll be some perks to be members and stuff, but the biggest thing is having that software to do your weekly email. Right. That's been that is like, see,
how is that different from like Constant Contact or MailChimp or a bunch of other ones out there?
The difference is there's no coaching call when you get a you don't get a Q&A with Ricky when you do Constant Contact or MailChimp. Constant Contact and MailChimp's SMS platforms are, let's just say, not good, right? This one will be very streamlined, easy to use. So you'll be able to text your database and email your database from this. And those other platforms don't come with like a full course, and you'll just be connected to me. And some people may do this they don't want the CRM. They just want to be in the membership. And some people are going to do it to have access to everything that I'm offering, which isn't a lot, right? It's a coaching call. It's access to the discount on the quarterly events. It's the CRM. It's the, powerful course.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get too much more complicated with throwing any more into it. Because, dude, I used to have courses and stuff that were just like hundreds of hours worth of content. It's just too much. People don't watch it all.
Consume it. Yep, they don't.
And like, I learned a lot from that. And this one is so good, man.
Yeah.
Like, I sat down and filmed these, and I was just like, man, this is, because I even say in the first video, I was like, I'm going to make this really short. This whole course is going to be super short because I've learned my lesson. And this is going to be the most powerful thing that you've ever watched, these 7 videos. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but I have a good idea of where it's going to go because I've already built several paying membership communities worth of agents.
How many thousands of members?
So I've got one with 2,500. I've got another one with 1,500. I did another one, two more with 1,000 apiece. Yeah. So I've done 4 that were all 1,000 and 2,500, right? And this one is the best out of all. It's just, it has everything. And I think it's going to be the most successful. And, for me, it's just like, it's there. Again, I'm not going to convince anybody to do anything. I know people are going to do it, and whoever does it, it's for them, and whoever doesn't, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, like, I'll make money, but that's not the goal. I was telling Joshua Smith, and I told another guy that was offering me a business venture. I was like, at this point, because I can't spend all the money I can't spend all of my money. I can't. I was like, at this point, it's about time and impact, right? So if you're going to take time away from my family and the things I want to do, you're going to have to pay me a lot of money. It's not about the money. It's about the time that you're going to take away from what I want to do for the rest of my life, because we're not going to live forever.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to pay me a lot to make me get into something that's going to dedicate me to some time spent. I'm going to have to invest. Second thing is impact. So even if you pay me all the money in the world, but whatever we're doing is not impacting the world, I'm out. It's got to be something that's super impactful. And if I'm going to spend any time at all, then I'm going to get highly, highly compensated. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. I don't need the money. See what I'm saying? So I'm just chilling. Like, I'm out here right now. Like, I paid for nobody paid me to come out here.
Yeah.
And I'm out here with my family. I bring them everywhere I go. Mm-hmm. Right. And we make a little mini vacation out of everywhere we go. My daughter has been everywhere and 3 or 4 times and back.
8 times in Vegas. You said she's 5 years old. She's been there 8 times.
Yeah. We've been to Disney World and Disneyland multiple, like, I don't even know. I can't even count how many times, but she's been everywhere, dude. Manhattan and Puerto Rico and everywhere in Florida and Dallas and Houston. Like, you name it, she's been there, because we travel 2-3 times a month. And like, this is the dream. And like a lot of people, I have a group of some coaching students, and they were like chatting back and forth about, living the dream and all this stuff. Oh no, I know what it was. They said that, you know this quote, that success is never owned. Success is never owned, yeah. And the rent is due every day, right? And I chimed in and I was like, success can be owned, right? And you can own the house and quit paying rent. Right. You can. Right. That quote to me is set up for people that are in the building stages of their career, building stages of their life, they're in the building stages, we're in that grind stage where it's like, I got to show up and I got to put that work in every day. But what I was trying to tell those guys is that that's not true forever. And the thing literally says success is never owned. Right. And it may temporarily not be owned until you achieve it, yeah. Right? But don't say it's never owned, because I used to love that quote until now I realize it's not true.
Well, I mean, what's your definition of success?
Well, that's the next thing. What is someone's definitions of success? So when they say that, it's like, number one, what is the definition of success? And so the guys started going back and forth about it and stuff. And, they were like, you're living the dream, whatever. I said, yeah, I am. I am living the dream. I said, but the thing is like, you've got to, I said, here's the secret. You got to be happy with wherever you are, but constantly building on what you have. And I said, always remember this. I said, if you know what the outcome is going to be, then you're already there. Right. And so like, for example, when I was trying to make $1 million a year,
yeah,
and I saw the momentum moving towards $1 million a year,
yeah,
and I was making 600 a year, then 700 a year. And my mind, even before that, when I was doing like 300 or whatever, like I was already making $1 million a year in my mind.
But what do you say to those people that say, man, you got to disattach yourself from that outcome, that result? Right. And constantly focus on the process, on the grind.
I believe that when you're in the building stages of your career, like, make the goal, but don't put so much weight on the goal. What happens is we say, I want to make $1 million. And then they put so much weight on that result happening that if it looks like it's not going to happen, they start to become depressed or whatever.
Feeling defeated.
What happens with goals is you're never going to hit it. You're either going to come in short or go past it. And if you make the goal and you come in short, then you feel like a failure. And then if you hit it, normally you'll kind of slow down a little we hit your goal. So we already hit our goal. So let's just go ahead and slow down when you could have blown right past it.
Yeah.
And so goals are dangerous, man. And so you just can't make the goal. I'm not saying don't make the goal. Make the goal, but don't put so much weight on it. Just use it as kind of like a guideline out there that, that's kind of what I'm shooting for. But if I hit it, I don't care if I come short or if I go past it, I'm going to keep going. I'm not just going to stop. You got to be careful with goals, especially in those beginning stages, because people get too attached to that, so you got to make the goal, but just make it and kind of then go right back to just focusing on your day to day.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Absolutely. Going back to the content creation, I'm just curious, were there any videos that you put out there that really generated a lot of?
So when I started doing live calls, there was a time where I was doing live calls.
Live calls.
I was calling prospects live.
Oh, okay. You're recording yourself.
I was live on YouTube, doing live calls.
On YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did I don't know how many, dude.
What year was that?
17, 18, 19. And that's when I grew. That's when I really grew, because nobody was really doing live calls at that time.
Yeah.
And really not a lot of people do them now. Nobody really does live calls, but some people do some call. More people, I see it here and there, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people doing it are wholesalers versus agents, so that's different. But
what about on IG? The same thing, live calls, or you were doing something else?
The growth on IG was really just from so much content I put out. It was just so much content that I was going to reach a lot of people, and I just kind of got caught in the algorithm of IG. And this was before Reels. Yeah. I mean, you didn't have the Reels page, right? It was just, you had your feed and you had your profile.
There were no stories at that time, I think, right? There were no stories.
No stories.
Do you post any stories right now?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I was telling you before we started, I haven't posted much on Instagram this week. Really for the past month or two, I've posted three times a week or so. I've been focusing on YouTube. I've never really got into a good structure. So I'm being very consistent with Monday, Wednesday, Friday on YouTube, doing a strategy on Monday, a market update on Wednesday, and an interview or podcast or keynote speech or something on Fridays. And I want to get real consistent and just see what happens when I have consistency behind what I'm doing. I think that it's going to be massive growth. And people that watch long form, I feel like, are just higher
quality.
I don't want to say higher quality. They're giving you more attention. They're spending hours with you versus 60 seconds, right? So I think that they're getting more value than somebody who watches a 60-second video. Now, Instagram is great because I can send people to trainings, and I can send people to the YouTubes, and it's great because you can pick up a lot of followers. So you can have a constant organic flow of new people getting to know who you are and stuff. So I don't know. I don't want to say I got burnout on Instagram, but it's kind of a word, I guess, I would use. I don't know. I just took a step back for a second here recently, and I'm still posting a little, but I'm not going crazy. Mm-hmm. And I'm relaunching ZTD, Zero to Diamond, next week, the platform and the stuff. So I've been working really hard on that behind the scenes. It's a lot of work there, and traveling a lot. Travel does mess it up. I'm a one man guy. I don't have a team posting content, but I've kind of enjoyed the break for a second, just to kind of recalibrate, put that effort into YouTube for just a second, get some momentum going, bring ZTD out next week, and then zerotodiamond.com, and then come back to Instagram. Yeah. And I think it'll be good because you take a break and then you just kind of breathe for a second, get a breath of fresh air, and then come back and, kind of have a better, have some creative things to say. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your, I know you had a team. I think you still have a team, right? With EXP. No team.
No. I was just single agent. I gave my business to my dad.
Got it. Yeah. So he's the agent.
Yeah. So we had two separate businesses. We're just two single agents out there running around. Yeah. And, 2022, I was building the coaching business in 17.
Yeah.
And then, I started making more money doing that. And, now talk about burnout. I really got burnt out with sales, 20 years. Right. And so I was done. Like, I didn't care. I was done, dude. I was just done. And I was cringing, dude. I had like $1 million clients calling me, I'd see the number on a call ID. I'm like, oh my God, I just don't want to answer this,
Yeah.
And that's when it's time to make a change.
Yeah.
If you don't love what you're doing, it's time. And, I didn't quit. I stopped, right? I interviewed Andy Elliott, and he was talking about the difference in quitting and stopping.
Mm-hmm.
You stop something because it's not working anymore. It's not like you quit. You're still going. You're just doing something different.
Yeah, we just pivot.
That's all it is. Yeah. So I pivoted into something, and look, man, like, I'm just going to repeat it. My family is in Phoenix with me right now. We are chilling. Okay.
Like, you don't have the anxiety of somebody's calling you and telling you, hey, Ricky, can you stop by my house? Take a look at it.
Dude,
Market.
Like, right now, I work out of my house when I'm home. I have a studio and I have my office and stuff. And, I'm in there working and everything. And before I quit sales, I was never there. I would get a call and I would have to go to a property. And it's like spur of the moment, like prompting, like, hey, come look at this property, or come to this inspection, or, you got a closing, or we bumped it up, or it's always something.
Yeah.
And that's great, right? We're busy, we're making money, we're doing stuff, but you gotta figure out what you want out of life. And that just wasn't what I wanted out of life anymore. I did that.
Yeah.
It's like I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
I did it for 20 years. I did 100 deals for 8 years in a row. I did my thing, and if I can make more money and more impact on the world and spend more time with my family by getting out of sales, right? Yeah. Like, if I could have kept the sales business, I might have that thing pumping $1.5 million to $2 million a year by now, right? With the increase in prices. Cause I made $1 million in 17. That's a long time before COVID. Those same.
What's the average price there right now?
Right now it's like 700.
Oh yeah.
Back then it was like 400. So it's like almost double. So, I'd be doing 1.5 to 2 mil, right?
Yeah.
But I'd be losing my mind.
Yeah.
If you have an opportunity to have a better quality of life, right?
So starting a brokerage was never really in consideration.
No, it was. I had a brokerage.
Oh, you had a brokerage?
Yeah. In 2005, I started a brokerage. That was right before everything kind of crashed and burned. Or 2004, maybe. It was somewhere around there, right? Right before everything crashed and burned. And learned really quickly that was not
so you had like agents in your brokerage, or it was just you?
No, I had about 10 agents. Yeah, I was trying to build it. Okay. Yeah. And it was interesting. It was really interesting because I was really still new. I got in 2002 and I'd had a couple great years, but I didn't know enough to be a broker and to like actually advise agents and stuff. I pretended like I did, and I thought I did, but man, looking back, I really didn't. But these agents that came in were newer agents, and I helped them a lot.
Yeah.
I helped them get going, and some of those guys are still cranking. They're still doing well today. The guys that came into my brokerage as a new agent and stuff. So it's kind of cool. But yeah. For me, just not my gig, right? Not my gig. I didn't understand what it was, expense wise, liability wise, time commitment wise, the non-productive activities that brokers do. Not my thing, dude. I want to be a highly, highly productive, efficient person, So that wasn't my thing.
That wasn't your thing.
Yeah, but I did it. And I tried to do a team twice. I tried to build a team twice.
What are your thoughts about building a team?
I did it. I had one for 1.5 years, and then I had one for about 6 months. Oh. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions around teams. Like, agents think, okay, I'm selling some properties. Now the next progressive step is to start a team, and I'm going to build this team and have some passive income. And what they don't realize is that they're still in the building stages of their career, and they have a full-time job selling. And what they do by starting a team is adding a second full-time job to their day.
Yeah.
And now they have 2 full-time jobs.
Yep.
All right. And they end up just crashing and burning.
Right. Because you have 2 masters and you're not able to serve both of them.
You're not.
You just can't.
You either got to be all in on your sales or all in on building the team. And so, the successful team leaders, they get their business to where it's, they do it slowly, and they have a lot of sales going before they really start.
And they got the right staff, the right people.
Yeah,
they
they bring in a buyer agent and kind of just slowly build it up. But most teams fail, and most teams aren't profitable.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about my model. And I don't suggest my model for anybody, by the way. Right, I'm not telling anybody to do what I do. You should not do what I do. If you want like a step-by-step process on what not to do, just look at what I do. Right. Because I went out there and I was doing 7-figure. Like my production level was higher than teams. Let's not even talk about profitability. Right. Because these teams are working on what kind of margins?
25%
margins. Yeah. Right. And I'm at 100% margin, not only 100% margins, but doing more volume than the teams. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the coaching business. Like I was saying, like some of these guys would have to be doing about 7 or 8 times revenue than I do just to make what I make, So I just like being super highly productive and going, I like laying my head on my pillow at night, not worrying about if Bobby Joe and my team, if the market's going to continue to do well and I'm going to continue to be able to supply Bobby Joe and my team leads, or that my employees are, them being so dependent on me, it messes with my quality of life. It really does. Yeah. I want to go to bed at night without a worry in the world. And that's what I do. That's what I've done my entire life. I go to bed without a worry in the world. When I lost everything back in 2008, bankrupt, sleep in my car, not a worry in the world, because there were guys that went through the same thing I went through, and they were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and I was in my 20s. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like you have taught me, you are teaching me right now the lessons that you're teaching other people in their 50s. I can start over. I still have the athletic agility to hop on a roof and nail shingles and sleep in my car and go out every night and serve tables and work on an oil rig. Yeah. I could do that now if I had to. It'd be rough physically, but back then I was an athletic machine. I could just, it's like for that to happen, I went to bed without a worry in the world, even though I was bankrupt, sleeping in a car somebody gave me or on somebody's couch. I was 30 years old, same situation, 2008, 2009, overextended, $500,000 in debt, had a luxury transportation company, like 40 employees, more than half of them. Like I had to let go literally within a couple of weeks. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about right here. Like, I don't want nothing to do with it. It was, but you know what? I agree the fact that I was young at that time, and probably the most important lesson that I have learned since. Yeah. Like if you think about it, going through all of that stuff for 2 years and losing everything, losing our home, no money, nothing like that, probably was the best thing that ever happened to me. Hands down. Hands down, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. Because I learned everything I need. Mm-hmm. You got to go through a market shift like that to understand how to make it through a market shift like that. And when you realize how much of an opportunity shifts like the one we're going through in right now is, then you feel unstoppable. And again, you go to sleep without a worry in the world because the market can't take you out. Yeah. Right. But you got to go through this. A lot of agents are going through it for the first time right now, and they're struggling. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good thing. They need to. And we're going to find out who they are. Find out how tough they are, find out how bad they really want this, find out if they're going to learn their lessons from this, come back swinging, come back hard, build it back, and handle it differently the next time that we see a shift like that. These shifts are necessary, and the people that struggle through them, it's necessary for them to experience that. Yeah. If it's just a good market all the time, then hell, there'd be 5 million agents. Yeah. You know? So what's next for Ricky Carruth?
like I know you're relaunching Zero to Diamond.
Yeah.
You said you got that going on. You got the software, email marketing software. 2025 is around the corner. The next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
You're looking at it, bro. Like I'm there. There is here. I literally am doing what I want to do. I mean, I don't have there's nothing missing in my life. I'm not trying to like build them out. I have more money that my investments, my portfolios, my family. I was telling several people and told Joshua, do you read the Bible? Are you religious?
Yeah, I read Old Testament.
So in February, I started reading the Bible for the first time. I've always went to church and all that, but I never was serious about reading the Bible. And in February, I had a mentor, and he's real religious and stuff. And for some reason, I just started reading the Bible, and Old and New Testament. And this year, and I read every day. I read a chapter every day. I read a chapter of that and a chapter of a whatever self-development book I'm reading or whatever. And this year, has been the best year of my life in every aspect, right? So like family, fitness, health, net worth, revenue, you name it, right? In every little aspect. And I can't like put my finger on, what the cause of it was, or, if it had anything to do with the Bible, all that stuff. All I can tell you is that the year I read the Bible was the year I had the best year of my life, right? And it kind of reminds me, I've always read a lot, but there've been years where I didn't read anything because I was just so busy executing. And so the years, I can look back, and the years that I was reading self-development books, my income multiplied. And the years that I did not read, my income plateau, right? It's real interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So what are you reading? What you've been reading aside from the Bible? What else are you reading?
Self-development books.
Like, you have any names?
Ben Hardy wrote some. 10X is easier than 2X. Gap in the Gain. I love those. Some of the real estate books. Steve Shull and Chris Voss. The guy that wrote, The Negotiator, the FBI Negotiator, Chris Voss.
Okay.
He wrote Never Split the Difference. They just wrote a book. It's a real estate book. Oh, man. Anyway, everybody can Google it. Steve Shull. That is an amazing book. Man. It's about commissions. It's about not taking less than 6%. But like the principles in that book are phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like,
I'm a huge fan of Dr. Ben Hardy, Dan Sullivan, right? So Gap and Gain, 10X easier than 2X. And then I think they have another one. Who Not How is another one that they have, like all of those books.
See, that's getting into a lot of like delegating and stuff like that. He talked a little bit about that in 10X is easier than 2X. There was a chapter on delegating and stuff like that. That was the chapter I kind of checked out on. I read it. Yeah. I read it.
So you're not a big fan of Who Not How.
Yeah, I'm not. Because it's like, I had an assistant that did all the admin, right? I had a system. Like when I got a listing, I would text my assistant and I would say, new listing, property owners, phone number, email, the address of the property, what were the prices and what the commission rate we agreed on is. Yeah. I would text her that, and then I wouldn't hear anything about it until an offer was made. So she would take it, she would DocuSign the listing, get it back, order the pictures, create an MLS, a pre thing for MLS. Once we get the pictures back, she'd make it active on MLS. Then she would handle all the showings of agents that want to show the property. All this is happening. I'm just out there getting more listings.
Yeah.
So I had the system in place and I was delegating, right? But again, it was to the bare minimum, and it was what was efficient in my mind to get to the $1 million. Because like, how much, I don't know, man, there's a lot of schools of thought.
Sure.
Right.
No, listen, I mean, the way you do it is what, as long, like my definition of success is like, as long as I'm happy what I'm doing and I get paid for it, that's success to me. And of course, with that comes with health, it comes family. For me, those are priceless, very important. Right. But listen, for you, like you've been slinging homes for like at that time for 17 years, 18 years. And you're like, okay, how much more can I go on? Like more listing appointments, more this and that. It's just like,
I mean, if you do it, see, here's the thing, right? It's like at that point, I'm making $1 million a year. If I create a team, right now, I'm turning into a low margin business.
yeah. And now your time and energy and resources spent on the
right.
on the team.
And so now I'm like, okay, so how much do I have to sell to net $1 million?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to like spend all this energy to try to build this thing up to make exactly what I was making.
Yeah.
If I can.
Yeah.
Same thing with the coaching business, right? I could now switch over to blasting ads, right? I see your ads. I could go out to blasting ads to try to bring in new clients, into the business, right? But now I've got ad spend. I need to have sales guys. I need to have marketing. I need to have landing page guys. Now I'm building out a whole company where now my margins.
So how are you getting your clients right now?
It's all organic.
Like how? Like they're going on your website and just sign up? That's what they're doing?
No, I'll do webinars.
Like so I'm doing webinars.
Yeah, like I'll do a 2025 business planning session next week. I do it every
and
year.
You're promoting it to like your entire database.
Yeah.
Emailing.
Yep.
And then you're buying ads as well?
No.
Just email.
No. I'll post it organically. I'll put it in my Instagram stories. I'll put it on in my YouTube videos. Hey, I'm doing this thing or whatever, but it's all organic.
Yeah.
So I'll get new people into the ecosystem from the algorithm showing my content to different people. So I'm getting fresh new leads into my database and into my system and everything. But I'm doing it organically, which is free. Right. So I mean, like, would I want to make $500,000 a month?
$500,000 a month. That means that you got to have 5,000 members.
Right. Right. But that's just through that though.
Yeah.
Right. Because I get a big check from other affiliates. There's other income.
So are you still with RedX, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else are you affiliated with?
So I've still got something with Constant Contact. Yeah. Of course, the brokerage, I get paid there.
The rev share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then YouTube ad revenue, speaking fees. So I'll do, the speaking fees are pretty good, right? So all in all, like 500 is a big number, right? So like, let's bring it down to like what's super realistic on like an average, like 350. If I'm doing 350, just think about it though. If would you rather do 350, completely stress-free?
100%.
Or would you rather have this massive company with all these employees who, by the way, you have to pay regardless? I mean, some of the guys are on commission, but not everybody. And then ad spend, and then to go out and try to do, you'd have to do maybe 2.5 mil or so to profit the 350, 2 to 3 mil, let's say, right? And do it consistently because those bills, that's the thing. Like, dude, if I have a month where I don't make anything, dude, I have zero expenses. I go to bed at night sleeping like a baby. And that's how I used to be as a single agent too. I'm sleeping like a baby. The only problems I would have is like with clients who, might not be happy with what's going on. You always have a couple of those going on, but I never let that bother me.
Yeah.
So I slept pretty good even as a single agent and stuff.
But when you have so many listings and everything like that, one of those listings cancels or whatever it is, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you just move on. Okay.
I never let any listings expire. When I got the listings, I would say, I'm going to try to sell this forever. All right.
Yeah, but on a listing agreement, you got to put an expiration date, right?
Not necessarily. And then I'm like, listen, this is how it works. And I would write it in the listing. I try to sell this till you tell me to stop. Right. And by the way, seller may cancel this agreement at any time for any reason written in the agreement. Now, Mr. Seller, you got all the power. You don't like what's going on? Cancel it tomorrow. Cancel it next week. Cancel it next month. Cancel it next year. cancel the next decade. I had listings for like 3 or 4 years, and then I'd sell them. The market would
Dude, you
catch
had like
up.
an open date on those lists. I mean, you didn't have like
Right. I would put TBD, to be determined on some of them. Some of them I would put 3 months, but I would put it
Do
in
you
email.
think it works in different cities and different markets though?
Yeah,
Like
work
New
anywhere.
York or LA or
Yeah, I think it'd work anywhere. Yeah, because like the thing is you have all the power, right? You have all the power as a seller. Why wouldn't you do this deal? You can cancel anytime for any reason. I'm the best.
Yeah.
I work the hardest. You like me, right?
Yeah.
You're not just hiring me because of that. That's just an extra benefit on top of the fact that you want to hire me anyway.
Yeah.
Is that I'm going to try to say, you can, anytime you tell me to stop, I'll stop. But the thing is once I get the listing, that's when the servicing actually starts. That's when I really develop the relationship, because the way that I handle the listings once I get them, and the care and the communication and stuff that I do once I get the listings, that's where I kind of separate myself from the other agents, and I never lose any listings. And the cool thing is like, the reason I do this is because I used to have listings that would expire, and I would see them pop up under other agents and then sell.
Yeah.
I was like, the last time that's going to happen. Last time that's going to happen. So I was like, I'm not going to let any of my listings expire. And that way they don't go to other agents, and I retain the client. Right. And I would have some, like very rarely, that would like cancel in 3 days, or so. My spouse, like, we're too attached to the property, or we want to go a different direction, or maybe something happened. They didn't like I've had some that they didn't like how I wrote it up on MLS.
Yeah.
And they were just, it made them mad for some reason. They called and like, we don't like how you did that. We want out. No problem.
Yeah.
I never charged a cancellation fee or anything. But yeah, that's the reason I did it. It's because I got tired of watching my expired listings sell through other agents, and B, this strategy allowed me to actually build up a nice inventory of listings. Because like at any given time, maybe 20-30% of my listings would be over a year old. Wow. Right. So like, unless I'm up, like maybe 5 or 10% would be over 2 years old, right? So like I would have 20 or 30 listings, and literally like, 8 of them would be more than a year old, right? But I'm still sitting on them. The sellers still love me. We're still talking. I'm making sure they like how everything's going. See, this was talking about from the beginning. Some of these sellers don't care if the property sells, guys, right? I'm trying to help them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
If they just want their property out there, me too. They just want to see what happens. Maybe the market will okay. You know how many people I listed overpriced, and like 6 months in, they're like, get it where it needs to be to sell it. Right? They call me like, we got to move this now. And we'd like drop it 100K and it'd sell like that. Right? But if I wouldn't have had that in there to where I'm keeping it forever, I would have lost contact with them. It would have expired in 3 months or whatever, and they would have went somewhere else. Right? I've had it to where they come down slowly. They're overpriced, and they'll lower it 10,000, every, 3 months or something. It's just like whatever. But the thing is they're coming down while the market's coming up.
Yep.
And then it
Right
doesn't even have to get all the way flush.
Yeah.
Before somebody's willing to at least take a stab at it, especially if inventory starts to dip. There's a lot of things that can happen in the market.
Yeah.
That's why I say you're not the god of this. You can't make properties sell.
Yeah.
And you can't say what are they going to sell for. Agents want to act like they know exactly what something's going to sell for. Dude, you can't. Number one, this buyer's going to think it's worth this. This buyer's going to think it's worth that. How are you going to know which buyer's going to come through? The market changes every day, right? A new comp could happen. A new listing could pop up that changes the whole game. You can't predict nothing.
I tell my agents all the time, we're just a vessel.
We're just the middleman here.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, that's it. You cannot predict how much it's going to sell it for, and to sit there and argue about $5,000.
What our value is representing them the way they want to be represented, making sure they get the best possible outcome, that they feel like they got the best deal possible, and you made sure that they got the best deal possible, and you did all that legwork. You
mentioned that you've been working out more often, right?
Not more often.
Not more often?
No.
Are you more intentional? More?
My dieting.
Your dieting.
My dieting. I've always worked really hard, worked out really hard.
Yeah.
That was never been a problem at all. And I've tried a bunch of different diets. I fasted for a while. I was fasting like till dinner for like 2 years. I did that
For 2 years,
Yeah, for
like not eating anything until dinner.
right, right. And like, I'm not saying that I did that every day, but yeah, I was fasting a lot. And that did get me to a certain place. Like I lost 30 pounds and it did get me to a certain place, which I needed to lose that weight. But you can't build any muscle doing that, right? So the fasting is healthy. I believe it's a healthy strategy. I think the less you eat, you know, to an extent. I mean, you got to have nutrients and stuff like that. But like, I think, you know.
But would you have that energy though during the day? Like I know 1 or 2 days of fasting, but after a certain period.
I was fine energy wise.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a problem with that. I guess my body was just burning off the fat or so. I don't know. I was fine energy wise. I didn't really have a problem with that. Now I will tell you, so when I kind of plateaued with that, we're talking about becoming a new person and plateauing and so now I do 6 meals a day. I got a nutritionist and I measure every single bite. And you want to talk about energy, you know, like, so before, like I didn't realize the energy I was missing, you know, until I got back to where I was eating the right foods, you know.
So what do you eat? I mean, those 6 meals, what do they consist of?
Jasmine rice,
Okay.
you know,
Protein.
meat, you know, chicken, turkey, you know, ground
You
beef.
cook it or somebody else does it?
I cook it.
You cook it? Yeah.
Oatmeal and blueberries, eggs, egg whites, you know, greens, you know, just healthy stuff.
How many calories a day? 2,000, 2.5?
I don't really know because I have a nutritionist and I just eat whatever he says.
Gotcha.
And so we track my body, how my body responds to certain diets, and then we tweak accordingly. So I'll go 6 months where I'm eating a lot more, where I'm kind of bulking up, and I kind of feel a little like right now, like I'm like 3 weeks into eating more food than I normally eat.
Season.
It's kind of a bulk, right? And you kind of feel a little pudgy. And then I'll go 3 or 4 more weeks with this, and then I'll go back and I'll kind of restrict a little to kind of cut down. But you got to go through that bulking to have something to build the muscle on.
Yeah.
You got to have something to build the muscle on.
Yeah.
And you know, and then so you build the muscle, you know, and then you cut down, right? And then you go through it again, you know, and then it's this back and forth where you're building, and then you're cutting down, you know, and then you're building. But the next round, you've built a little more muscle than the last time, and you just kind of stair step it. It's a process.
So during the bulking season, if you will, so you're you're eating those 6 meals, right? That's what you're doing. Even when you're traveling, you're doing the same exact routine.
Yeah, because where we're staying has a full kitchen. We went to the grocery store, I have all the same exact stuff I eat at the house. Yeah,
Interesting.
Same exact stuff, and then and so when I restrict, I'm still eating 6 meals. It's just smaller meals. Yeah. Smaller portions.
What about like alcohol?
I haven't drank in over 10 years.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost died in 2000, March 29th or 30th. I almost OD'd from drugs, and I tried to quit drugs for years before that, and I couldn't. But when I almost died, I was laying on my bed, and I was literally like dying. I was sweating. I was like puking. I was, you know, heart beating out of my chest. Literally saw Jesus in my ceiling, and I was like, "Oh my goodness! Like I'm gonna die." And I said a prayer, and I said, "If I wake up tomorrow, I'll never touch anything ever again. A drop of alcohol, of anything." And I woke up the next day and I was like, holy smokes.
I'm alive.
And there was drugs and everything.
What kind of drugs?
So I was addicted to weed.
Oh.
And when I almost died, it was on coke.
Coke?
Yeah. Yeah. I did too much. And so I couldn't stop smoking. No matter how many times I tried, I could not quit smoking weed. But that night, you know how people are like, they got to hit the rock bottom or whatever? That was my rock bottom, I guess. Because after that night, I threw I flushed the drugs down the toilet, and I haven't touched a single thing since. And I've been around everything, since. Not like I hadn't been around it, especially right there in the beginning, because I was still hanging around all the same people.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the hardest.
And then I kind of it kind of got old kind of quick being around people that were doing drugs and alcohol, not doing drugs and alcohol. Try to make it work, but it just didn't work. Yeah. And so I eventually just kind of drifted away from that group. But yeah.
So what are you doing in those settings where like you have people there, like you're doing the events and all of that, people are drinking and
I don't go.
You don't go?
I don't go. Yeah. When they do the after parties and stuff, I don't even go.
Wow.
Yeah. When they do, the open bar and stuff like that, I don't go to it. It's like, I'll go speak on stage.
Yeah.
And then I'm out. I'll go to the room or whatever. I'll go to sleep. Family's normally there. We're normally doing something, whatever. But that's not to say I'm never in the situation where I'm like at an event where people are drinking. Yeah. Right. Sure. But it just doesn't bother me. I haven't had one, dude, it's weird. I haven't had one single urge of anything. There hasn't been one part of me that's like, oh, I wish I could drink that or I wish I could smoke that at all. I didn't go to rehab. I didn't go to AA, nothing. It was just a cold turkey, I'm done with this life kind of thing. I mean,
do you think that was one of the main contributing factors, like where you at right now? Like stop doing all these vices and everything like that. Yeah.
Well, whatever I do, I want to be the best in the world. And that includes drinking and doing drugs. Whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be the best. Right. So I have an addictive personality, if you will. But when I quit doing drugs and alcohol, that me and my wife, we were having problems at the time. And me quitting got us back together. Right. So yeah, dude, if I wouldn't have quit, I'd be dead or in jail. I wouldn't be, I would have never started doing social media, writing books or speaking. I wouldn't be married to my wife, and like she's the entire support system around everything that I do. Mm-hmm. She homeschools our daughter. She supports everything. They come everywhere with me and just like cheer me on. Without that, dude, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. If me doing what I'm doing is going to make my family life unhappy or my wife unhappy, or it's going to cause some kind of stress, then like it's not going to work, So yeah, it wasn't just that I quit drugs and alcohol, but it was everything that also brought. Yeah, quitting actually brought into my life. Yeah, man. I mean, having the right spouse, right partner in life, it's probably one of the ultimate life hacks. Like we've been married. I don't know how long you've been married, but we've been married for 25 years. And we went through like ebbs and flows situations where I think on many occasions another woman would probably give up, with all the screw ups that I put her in front of her. But she never questioned me. Like she's always there to support me. Yeah. And that's the beautiful feeling in the world, I think. And I think life as an entrepreneur, man, that's all you can ask for. Yeah. We were friends for a while before we met at Remax, and we were like not going to date, we're just friends. Yeah. And that was good because we were actually friends. We weren't trying to date each other. We were just friends. And then we became really good friends. Yeah. And then we started dating. And then we dated for 5 years before we got married, So I really think that's one thing that makes us really strong is, we just didn't jump right into a relationship. We actually really, really, really knew each other, because as friends, we were telling each other everything that you probably wouldn't tell somebody you're dating. Right. 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 And so that I feel like we got lucky, honestly. Yeah. Because a lot of people they don't have that. They jump into a relationship and then they get married, and they don't really know the person outside of the relationship.
And then the reality sets in, right? Like they get to know that person. I mean, she knew all the highs and all the lows.
Yeah.
That you had. Yeah.
Oh man, dude. There was a point where I was at a really low place, not as low as almost dying, but just above it, right? Back in 2011-ish or so, I went through something.
Yeah.
And she was my friend at the time. And I was living in an efficiency on the beach. You know, it was like $500 a month or something. Like I was basically homeless, sleeping in this old condo and stuff. But I remember, I'll never forget it, but somebody had given her $100 gift card to Target or something, you know, and then she gave it to me because she knew I was going through whatever. You know, this is back when we were friends and stuff, you know. But yeah, I'm just saying that to say she's seen me at the very, very lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And the highest of highs, I've got to say, is like right now, you know, because my definition of success is just how happy are you? How happy are you? You know, that's it.
That's it.
It's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with money or what you have. You know, I think it has to do with, are you happy?
Yeah. You got to feel fulfilled, right, internally. And also I think you got to have a purpose, right? And those are the important things as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like a lot of my happiness comes from the fact that I know I've impacted hundreds of thousands of agents around the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I can sit back from where I am and say, not everybody can say that, you know, but I can say that. So that has, you know, so I have some great things going on. I have a reason to be happy. But if you're watching this and you are in your building stages of your business, I just want to say that everything's possible. And really more than what you think is possible. Because I never thought I'd be in the situation I am now at this point in life.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched my dad roof houses till he was a good 46, older than I am now. He was on the roof roofing, older than I am now, and out roofing everybody. And I saw it with my own eyes because I was on the roof with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out there with the crew. So I watched it happen. And, you know, you think, is that going to be me? You know, am I going to be on a roof when I'm 46? You know, but that's.
Dude, I mean, I can relate to it. I mean, when we came to this country, I was like 13 years old. Like we were refugees from former Soviet Union. Dude, like nothing on us, maybe like a couple of $100. You know, from day one, I went out there, got a job, was handing out flyers for $1.50 an hour. Was getting emotionally abused in high school because I was, you know,
the new guy,
not American or this and that and everything like that. But, you know, there's that saying, you know, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's it.
So like with everything, you know, there are steps involved. And as long as you're continuing to push through and don't retreat, right, I think you're going to be good. So I tell my agents all the time, and if I can do it, like you guys can do it 10 times more.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but where can I find you, our audience?
Bro, just Google me.
YouTube,
Google me.
And then what's that website again? You got to
ZeroToDiamond.com. ZeroToDiamond.com.
And you got the webinar scheduled for?
Yeah, it's going to be December 18th at 3 Eastern, but I do them all the time. Do free, completely free.
Beautiful.
Come in, I'll teach you. But on my YouTube, like I'm crushing with strategies and stuff. I just did how to handle 25 listings. Like once you have them, how to actually handle 25 listings at once easily.
Yeah.
I did this Monday. I'm doing how to stack, actually how to get 25 listings. I'm going to be doing a lot on scripting and objection handling and different things like that. There's just so much content.
So strategies are Mondays, market update on Wednesdays, and then podcast.
Yeah, interviews, keynotes like
and everything like that.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to prepare for these strategy videos that you're doing? Like, is it a 1 hour thing, 2 hour thing?
Well, it takes about a week to come up with the idea.
Interesting.
Right. And it's not like I'm working full time on that. It's just like, as I'm going through my days, I'm thinking, what's my strategy video going to be? How am I going to do it? You know, what do I want to really get across? So I'm thinking about it all week long. So I film them like a week ahead of time. So every Monday I'll film next Monday's video. So my editor can edit it, and then it goes out that next Monday, and then I'll film the next Mondays that day. So, so once I film next Monday, once I get done with that, you know, now all the ideas is flushed out, you know, because up to that point, I've just been thinking about that video. So now that video's done. So now I'm thinking, okay, what's my next week's going to be? Where can I bring the most value? Sometimes I read through the comments to see what people are thinking or what might be a great idea or something. And I just kind of come up with what I think is going to bring the most value. And, you know, and then I'll spend not a lot of time, but a little bit of time kind of strategizing maybe how I want the flow to go, and what I want how I want to script it out, how I want to start the video. How you start the video is pretty important.
The hook.
Yeah. It's pretty important. So I think about that more than anything. And then I just kind of rip through, you know, off the dome.
Yeah. Awesome. Last question. And I appreciate your time, man. Thank you. This is your second, third podcast for today?
It is. It is. You can hear it in my voice.
Like, who do you, I want to use the word look up, right? But who do you follow? Who do you like get inspired by? Like right now in the business.
In real estate?
Real estate. And then let's say, for example, you know, self-development, personal development coaches and all of that.
I really like Myron Golden.
Oh, Myron.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm in his inner circle. And his King Solomon's.
What are you paying, like 100, 200, 300,000?
No, it's 55.
It's 55.
Yeah, 55 a year. His next one is above that is 350.
350.
You know, he wants me to do that one, of course. But he's a great guy. He really is. And brings so much value. He has helped me so much, man. I can't even say. He's been my number one mentor this year, because I found him about this time last year, you know, and then I joined his thing in like February. And he's just phenomenal. I'm gonna have him on my pod. And
how did he help you? You said he helped you like in what aspects, what areas?
So he coaches coaches.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he's really good at high tickets. And I always tried to sell high ticket and it never worked. And when I got in his program, I learned this literally within like the first day and got my money's worth right then. The biggest thing was that when somebody's paying you, and by the way, I don't do high ticket anymore. I did it this year for like 8 months and did well. And I'm still working with all the agents that are in that program, and will continue to. I just don't offer it anymore. When somebody pays you, they're not just paying you, right? They're trading that money for the knowledge they're going to use to make way more than that much money, right? And so that hit me like a ton of bricks, because it was like, because I have agents all the time that are like, I make an extra $500K a year because of what you taught me online. I make an extra 100,000. I make $1 million a year. I make an extra 400, 300, 200,000 a year. And so I was like, wow, now I get it. It's like they're trading $10,000 for me
to make $500,000,
to get them to make an extra 200,000 a year for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So now over a 20-year period, you're talking about $4 million. You invest that money, it turns into $15 million. They're trading $10,000 for $15 million. That's extreme. But just to think about it on let's just think about it on just a 1-year basis though. You're trading 10,000. Let's cut it in half. into 100,000. That's literally what it is.
It's a 10x return.
It's a 10x return. It's immediate return, right? Not to mention what that grows into over the years.
Yeah.
So that's like with Myron's, I did 55. I made 350 within like 2 months. And then I ultimately made about $1 million off of what he taught me, like $1 million off that would not have been there.
That's high ticket sales.
Yeah. That would not have been there. The whole process of it too, like how he does everything. I learned his whole system and implemented it and made over $1 million.
Yeah.
And I paid him 55,000.
Yeah.
But when I paid the 55,000, I was like, like, oh, like I ain't never done nothing like this before. Right. But look at what happened. I multiplied that money, 10 times over,
and that's
20 times,
55K a year. Or
that's K a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like, then I understood the coaching business, because up to that point, like, dude, I've always thought a lot of these coaches are scams. Some of them are, but like, there's a lot of legit coaches out there that literally can change your life. Right. And if you end up paying one that's a dud, like, who cares? Like, you risk that money for like the opportunity to see. You go with your gut, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, you learned a great lesson. You still got your money's worth, even if it turned out to be a dud.
Yeah.
Because now because if you don't do it, then you go to bed at night wondering what it was, right? But I'm telling you, the right coach can turn your entire life around like that, because they've been there, they've done that, and it's worth the weight in gold, right? But yeah, he was a huge help for me. It's just such a great guy. He's been the biggest one that's like kind of new into my, I've always followed Gary Vee and, Grant Cardone and, some of these other big guys. I mean, I always kind of followed those guys. But Myron was kind of the one that just popped up and, was kind of a big influence on me this year.
Very impactful.
Very impactful, man. Not only that, he teaches from the Bible, right? He's real religious and he teaches from the Bible. And that was big for me too, right? That was one of the influences that was one of the reasons why I started reading the Bible this year, was because of it wasn't fully him, but he had a lot to do with me deciding to start doing that,
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've been following him for like a few months now.
He's phenomenal.
He's just phenomenal. He is different from.
He is phenomenal. He has a gift.
Yeah.
I think he knows that he has a superpower, but he's so down to earth and humble. Like, he just acts like he's a normal guy, but he's not. Dude, he's not. Dude, he remembered my daughter's name. Like, I do not understand how he remembered. He remembers everybody's name.
That's a gift.
Dude, it's crazy. He's in a room with like 70 people and he'll say, okay, who has a question? People raise their hand. He's like, okay, you go, John. Okay, you go, Sally. Okay. Like, I'm like, and these are people that are like, this is their first time to one of his events. I brought my buddy Juan to his event, and Juan was like, I met Myron. I hadn't even met Myron yet. This was the first time I went to an event. I met Myron in the lobby. And he's like, he's a cool guy. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome. I was kind of jealous, And then the next morning or whatewever, we're all eating breakfast and I walked over there and like, as soon as I seen him, he just turned around. He was like, like that, because he knows what my success was with this program and stuff. And we've been on Zoom calls and stuff. This is the first time meeting in person, but it was like seeing my old high school buddy for the first time in a long time. It was so cool, the experience of hanging out with him and stuff. And then we've had a couple events since. And so like, we've become real good friends. And then, but it was weird because Juan said he met him, which it was just like, hey, I'm Juan and I'm here with Ricky, good to meet you, whatever kind of thing. Right. And then the next day at the event, he's like, who has questions? And Juan raised his hand. He's like, okay, you go first, Juan. And I'm like, how in the world did he? No, it is crazy. People listening to this, they're probably thinking like, that doesn't sound too crazy, but you got to understand like how many people he like called their name out.
Wow.
But the craziest thing was the second event we went to, he didn't meet my family the first one, but I introduced him on like the first day, and like the third day or something, like he's coming through, like we were eating the same restaurant, and he came through and said hello. He said, "Okay, see you later, Whitley." Me and my wife were like, "How?" You know what I'm saying? Like he's not a normal person. He's not a normal person.
55K, right? In a circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right, brother. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Man, it was super impactful. At least for me, I don't know, man.
I hope so.
For me, I you know, and I wish I can repay you one of these days. Somehow.
Oh man, you are.
I'm just saying, you know, it's just
just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you for your wisdom, bro. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.